Order up. Juicy.
We need to talk about how good Monster Hunter Stories 3 is looking right now, because I'm a big fan of Monster Hunter Stories 1 and 2. I'm also a big Capcom fan. I know they're doing a lot of stuff this year, but this might be one of their biggest sleeper hits ever. And I know that this is partially a me problem because I've been ignoring a bunch of the Monster Hunter Stories 3 marketing. I've only really been paying attention to Monster Hunter Wilds as of late, but I've been going back and I've been looking and paying attention to a lot of the marketing for Monster Hunter Stories 3, and I've been especially playing the demo, and I have to say, this game is fantastic. For those of you who don't know what Monster Hunter Stories is, it's essentially Pokemon and Monster Hunter put together. It's a monster catcher and a turn-based game that utilizes the Monster Hunter formula as its base model. In the Monster Hunter Stories franchise, you play as monster riders, not monster hunters, meaning that you work in tandem with other monsties, who are monsters that you have on your side, in order to put an end to certain existential threats to our existence. Monster Hunter Stories 3 is, of course, the third Monster Hunter Stories game, but that doesn't mean you have to play the other two in order to play this one. They're all designed with each being your first Monster Hunter Stories game in mind. So you can start with whichever game you want, and you don't need any of the other context from the other ones because they are all independent of one another. But the reason why I'm making this video in the first place is that I've played about 35 hours of the Monster Hunter Stories 3 demo, and I could easily put in another 15 hours if I wanted to, but I'm trying to take a break from playing the demo so as not to burn myself out when the actual game comes out, but I still need to talk about it, right? This game is fantastic and I need people to know. The first thing I have to gush about when it comes to this game are the visuals. It doesn't have the exact same art style as any of the other mainline Monster Hunter games, and the art style itself has evolved from Monster Hunter Stories 2. It's incredibly mature now while still maintaining that stylistic independence that makes it absolutely beautiful to look at any given moment. This art style lends itself very well to both the open world and turn-based combat because it allows for very fluid and smooth animations when you're fighting in battle, but also for very expansive, broad horizons as you're traversing the open world on your Monstie. It's important to note that Monster Hunter Stories 3 is developed in RE Engine, meaning that it specializes in expressiveness and showcasing micro animations. But because they made this game open zone instead of open world, there aren't any of the performance issues that come along with big open world RE games like Monster Hunter Wilds or Dragon's Dogma 2. It seems to me like Capcom has just struck the perfect balance between realistic animations and stylized art style in order to create a very fluid world that feels real. When it comes to combat, there are three different things that you have to be managing at most times. You have the rider, the Monstie, and then your companion, and sometimes the companion's Monstie as well. These are all things that you can customize. For example, the rider has options between a great sword, a long sword, a hammer, a hunting horn, a bow, or a gun lance. On top of that, you also have armor and decorations, which give you access to different abilities and skills, just like the mainline games. The Monsties are pretty self-explanatory. They're just monsters that you get out in the field as eggs, and then once you hatch them, you now have access to use it on your own side. But a very interesting thing that happens in Monster Hunter Stories 3 is that you can actually put different Monsties in different environments in order for them to gain different elemental abilities. For example, you could place Rathian in a dragon element zone, and then you could get a dragon element Rathian. The companions are the most set and forget aspect of combat. You have a list of different companions that you can choose from, and they all have their own list of different Monsties that they can use. So you set which companion you want, you set which Monstie they have, and then you just leave them because they act on their own. And even though you can't control their direct actions, there still is an element of strategy behind choosing them because you can choose what their AI will prioritize as well as which companion in general you want to use because they all have different abilities and they all have different inclinations. This is not a full comprehensive review of the game. I just wanted to put this out there. The game feels very amazing to play. The game looks amazing. The game sounds amazing. I think this game is shaping up to be one of the top tiers of 2026, which is not what I was expecting going into this year. So if you're on the fence about this game, I highly recommend checking out the demo. It's phenomenal. You can sink hours into it. It's just so much fun. and your progress from the demo carries over into the full game. Honestly, with Monster Hunter Wilds receiving its performance patch recently and Monster Hunter Stories 3 coming out soon, Monster Hunter as a franchise is looking to be in a very good spot right now, and I'm excited to see where it goes in the future with the Monster Hunter Wilds expansion.